Hi, my name's Holly and I'm a printmaker and mixed media artist from Hertfordshire in the UK. Today I'm going to share some more gel printing ideas and tips using metallic paint, handmade stencils and cow parsley. I hope it inspires you to go create too today. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy what you see. Okay, today we're going to do some gel printing using stencils and one of my favourite plants to use for gel printing, which is this cow parsley. So I often actually press my foliage before I use it for a few days. You can just use it straight away when you pick it, but I find that when you press it you get a flatter, more defined image. So yeah, we're going to be using these, and to make the stencil I literally just make it out of cardboard packaging. If you don't feel confident enough to like draw your own shape, then you could go online and look at things like Pinterest for ideas on shapes, or print something out and maybe cut it out, draw around it for your shape. But I tend to just get inspiration and then draw shapes to make stencils out of. So I'm going to use some metallic paint as well today, so I can show you what you can do with metallic paint on a gel plate. Yeah, so let's get started. All right, so to begin with, I'm going to put some of this copper acrylic paint onto the plate. So you don't need too much paint. As I always say, you don't use too much paint. That's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're gel printing. They always think they need more paint than they actually do. So just spread the paint around the plate evenly. Just a really thin layer. If you think you've got too much, you can have a roll off sheet and you can roll off whatever you don't need. Okay, something like that. Okay, so the first layer I'm going to do is just with the cow parsley. So just place it onto your plate, however you're going to do it. So I think I'll do it like that, and then maybe I'll get another one and put it in the gap. Another one there maybe as well. Okay, so let me grab some paper. So I'm just using standard copier paper here, but you can use more expensive or thicker paper if you want to. So you're just going to place your paper down on the plate and smooth it out like this. I always use my hands because I just find I can get between all the plants better, but some people use like a roller on top, whatever you really want to do. So smooth it down when you think you've done all of it, like so. You can peel up the corner and see. Yeah, that's all right. Okay, so that's your first print with the copper. So then I'm just going to take my foliage off the plate and leave it to dry for a little bit. At this point, you're just going to let the copper paint dry onto the plate. I probably should say I'm using a 6x6 inch gel press plate to do this. So yeah, just in case you wanted to have a go at this yourself. So yeah, when you're waiting for it to dry, you can just touch it just at the corners to see if it's dried or not. When you're happy that you think it's dry, which I think it probably is dry now, you can then put another layer of paint on. So I'm using two brayers or rollers. One I use for my darker colours, one for my lighter colours. So I'm actually going to use a darker colour. I often use like a darker colour for the first print and then a lighter colour in the background, but I'm going to do it the other way around and you'll see why when I do the print. So I'm going to do a darker colour for my background. So again, you don't need too much paint. So I'm going to go for some of this purple and just spread it evenly across the plate. And what happens when you do this, it should, when you take this print, it should pull everything up, including the copper paint. Okay. Almost got a bit too much paint there, so I'm just going to take a little bit of it off. Okay, so we just need another piece of paper. And you're just going to press that down onto the plate like this. Now at this point you want the paper to almost stick to the plate, because when you pull this print up, you want it to pull everything up, not just the purple layer that you've just put down, but the copper layer that's underneath as well. So it's all right to leave it for a few minutes here. I should also say that the acrylic paints that I'm using dry quite quickly, so that's why I tend to use a background colour to pull the original print up, the ghost print. Okay, so you can check the corner just to see if you think it's going to work. Yeah, it looks like it's pulling everything up, leaving me a clean plate. So you pull it up and you get this. Now, I don't know if you can see that or not, but the copper colours are coming through on top of the purple, which is really pretty. So yeah, that's a really good way of using metallic paint. Okay, so next layer I'm going to do is with the rabbit stencil that I've made. So I'm going to use some more of this purple and just evenly spread it across the plate. Like that. If you think you got too much, you can always roll some off on your paper or your roll-off sheet. So I'm just going to use my stencil for this part. So I'll put these on first. I'm going to try and lay them at different angles to what I did on the original print that I did earlier on. Like that. Need enough space for his ears to fit in. There we go. Then I'm going to put my rabbit stencil there and place that one up there. And like that. Okay. So I'm going to take the gold print that I did earlier on, that was look like that, and I'm actually going to place that down onto the plate again. So just line it up at the corners if you can. Another trick to doing this is I could have taped it down at the top here with some masking tape so that I'd get it in exactly the same place the second time round. Again, smoothing it down with my hands. Get right in between all the different bits and pieces of the plants and round the stencil as well, because you want a really clearly defined image of the rabbit. Okay. When you're happy you've done it, you can pull it up. I haven't lined it up that well, but you get a really nice image with the gold in the back, or the copper colour in the background, and the purple in the foreground, and you've got your rabbit shape and some cow parsley around the rabbit. So I quite like that. It's quite pretty. You can do extra things to it. You can like use, I often use these white gel pens to define shapes, but you could also draw on top with a pen or paint on top of it, however, whatever you really want to do with it. But yeah, that's another image that you can do. Okay, so then the last one that we're going to do, we just pull all these bits of cow parsley off the plate. And then you want to get your stencil off the plate as well. And it should leave behind a really nice image of a rabbit. So you want this bit to dry like you did with the last ghost print. So you just check all the areas. You can sometimes see if you look at it from an angle whether some bits are still wet or not, but no, this seems to have dried quite quick. Okay, so you want a contrasting colour here. So I'm going to go with this cream sort of ivory colour for my background. So a top tip that I got from somewhere, and I don't know where it was, but I saw it online somewhere, was when your paints are getting low, instead of wasting them when you can't get any more paint out by squeezing it, it said to cut the top off, and then you can use like a palette knife to get the paint out, or a paintbrush, and then when you're done you can just clip it back down, clip it over like that, and it keeps it from drying out. So it's a good way of using all the paint in your tube up. Okay, so I'm just going to put this paint onto the plate using my palette knife. Again, you don't want too much paint, just enough. Okay, and then spread that out with my lighter coloured roller that I was using. Like so. And then I want another piece of paper. I'm just going to place that down onto the plate. Again, you want this to dry, almost dry onto the plate, so that when you put it back, it pulls everything back, the background and the image, the ghost print. So just smooth that down a little bit. When you think it might have worked, you can check the corner to see. Another way, sometimes I use like a heat gun, but not too close to the plate. You don't want to melt the plate. But yeah, it just speeds along the process a little bit sometimes. Okay, I think that's probably done. So when you peel it back and you get like a really clear image of your rabbit and your cow parsley. So in what, 20 minutes or so, we've produced 1, 2 and 3 different prints and different ways of using metallic. I hope you enjoy this and I hope you have a go. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, and I'll be back with more top tips soon. Thanks, bye.